Mic check, mic check. Put me on. Am I there? I am there. All right, let's get ready for the fantastic show. All right, let me upload this stuff. Wait, invite guest in? No. Add source. Let me. Oh, share screen. Share the screen. Hello, everyone. Let me quickly share that. Look at that. Super fantastically quick. All right, so welcome to Betterment Broadcast. I'm your host, Whoa, it's jumping quite quickly. Hold on. Turn on. There it is. Excellent. Sorry about that, family. All right, read mode. We're all good to go. So, pardon me. Blackburn. one more, one more for luck. One more for luck. Blackburn Broadcast, the show 149th show. Fantastic. All right, let's go for our normal start. Tell a friend we're live if you can. Tell a friend it's a very good, fantastic show we have today. A lot of learning to be had. We start as we always start. So, when it comes to working as a collective with only black people on matters that benefit black issues, black progression, and black ownership, black people are collectively inadequate. Sadly, yes. So, individually, you might find a non black person who shows some kind of corollary towards black people. However, collectively, black people have no friends. Yes, shocking but true. And most importantly, constructive black man with constructive black woman makes a constructive black family. We'll be going over that today as well with our current topic. We're going to send out a link for people to talk, but when we do, please don't forget to practice the 4D values, which are discipline, dedication, dignity, and discernment. Yes, if we can have those four things when we communicate to black people about solutions, we should have a much better conversation. All right, cool. Can using descriptive language instead of derogatory language help black people stay better on topic? Yes, it can. We've tested it out. It really can. So we're going to continue that trend there. So, there's certain words people might use towards the left of the screen, but the ones toward the right of the screen is more better used. So let's try to use those. All right. So what is Black Betterment? Well, Black Betterment is black people helping black people on black issues for betterment. That's right. No rocket science. Just lifestyle. That's right. Black Betterment is a lifestyle that we promote here. And the more people that practice this lifestyle, the better black people will be collectively. In theory. All right. So we're going to show some videos. We've blackified them, so it shouldn't be a problem when it comes to the algorithm and stuff. But generally, it's done for scholarship purposes, research, and all that good stuff. So it's not our particular work. Please don't forget to follow the Black Betterment Building Instagram page. If you haven't, do it now. If you have, tell a friend. All right. So today's topic, very pixelated, but today's topic is So last week, Empress Kushti, she let us know about this case that I was aware of, but not too aware of. And let me just hold on. I'm just gonna make sure. Hold on. Is this full screen? There's no. Give me 17 seconds, fam. Chat. That's right. Go on chat so I can see what's going on. Evening, everyone. Big up, brother Dominic. Very good contributor. Let's go to the. Yeah, that's better. Voila. Cool. All right. So we're gonna review the Benjamin Mendy case. For those who don't know, Benjamin Mendy is or was a football player. I believe he played for Man City. Like, I haven't watched football properly for a long time, but I've been told that Man City are now good. When I watched football many moons ago, they weren't, but apparently very good. I think they let him go because I think it was anywhere from 6 to 9 women accused him of potentially trying to, I don't know if you can use these words, but sexual assault, which included, how do you say, for some reason people don't use these words because of algorithms, but we don't get paid on the show, so it shouldn't matter, but sexual misconduct, this kind of stuff, right? I'm forcefully trying to have intercourse with a woman. There was nine. I think it was 9. But yeah. So what we'll do, let's start, and then obviously the next topic is also we review is that Carlee Russell case. This is something that happened in the States. There's a lady who went missing, and people suspect she was lying. And it brings up the I think the Jussie Smollett kind of behavioral pattern apparently. But yeah, his contract expired. Okay, so his contract expired this year of the club. So I guess maybe they didn't let him go. But let's try to catch up with a video, as we always do, that's been blackified on the Benjamin Mendy case. We're going to try to obviously explore the wrongdoings of what people have tried to do to him, but then look at the pathology and the connecting the dots, and generally look at how black football players are in the UK or just around the world. All right. Oh, snap. Where is it? It's going to find this fantastic video for you, family. 49. Mendy. There we go. Carlee. Yes, there we go. Let's just have the news report. Hopefully it's loud enough. Go, go, go. Put that on the top
We'd
screen.
like to thank the members of the jury for focusing on the evidence in this trial, rather than on the rumour and innuendo that have followed.
There's Benjamin Mendy, for those who can't see, and I think that's his. I doubt he's his lover. She's European, and a lot of black football players have European lovers, but I don't think that's his lover. I think that might be his lawyer. So let's see what she says.
This case from the outset. This is the second time that Mr. Mendy has been tried and found not guilty by the jury.
There you go.
He is delighted that both jurors reached the correct verdicts.
Well, Sky's Inzamam Rashid is at Chester Crown Court. And Inzamam, we saw you moments ago walking alongside Benjamin Mendy. What was he saying?
Nothing to say from the former Manchester City footballer. He walked free from Chester Crown Court after a jury found him not guilty for those charges of attempted rape, and he walked free back to his car, and he's driven away. And now I'm sure he will be focusing on trying to get back onto the football pitch. He will want to be playing football once again. That was his aim. But let's just talk about what's happened today. This has been a 3-hour deliberation from the jury. They were sent out just before 11 o'clock this morning, and then just at 3 o'clock, about an hour or so ago, they came back with those verdicts, and those verdicts are of not guilty for attempted rape and rape, those two charges that were brought towards Benjamin Mendy in this retrial after other sexual allegations in a previous trial were dismissed. Now, the French international fullback, the former Manchester City footballer, was cleared of 6 counts of rape and 1 count of sexual assault after the court case here back in January. And as he came out of the courtroom today, he was in tears, crying his eyes out, hugging his friends and acquaintances who had been at the court with him today. And his lawyers have said on his behalf that he would now like to rebuild his life and return to essentially what is top flight football. He's at the age of 28. He's still got a few years where no doubt he can get back playing. He's missed out on a lot. He's missed out on Manchester City this season, winning the treble. He's won a few titles with the club. He's missed out on playing for his national side as well, the French team, of course. But he will want to try and get back onto the football pitch now. They also said on his behalf, it's been almost 3 years since the police started investigating this matter. Mr. Mendy has tried to remain strong, but the process has inevitably had a serious impact on him. So after a retrial, Benjamin Mendy has today been cleared of allegations of attempted rape and rape, allegations which were brought forward, which allegedly the women say took place at his Cheshire home, his multi-million-pound Cheshire mansion. He has today been cleared of those charges, and he walks from Chester Crown Court a free man and a footballer, hopefully hoping to try and get back onto the football pitch and reinstate his career.
Well, there you have it. There you have it. Let's go back to the where's the thing gone? Oh, is that one? Okay, so that was the reporting of Benjamin Mendy case in the civil charges. So yeah, I mean, last week we were covering, and we're going to cover more. Obviously, when black women are sexually abused, something we want to stop. And generally, women abuse is something. It's just there's no place for it in society. It's a serious case, and we have to have a method of trying to protect black women. We have to have a method of punishing, isolating, rehabilitating, depends, the perpetrators. However, I guess when someone is lying, if that is the case, this is something we have to review, because so extreme is the charge that what is the punishment for those who lie, I guess, against something that's so severe. Now, I'm not too sure if this case, first of all, they haven't shown any images, so not too sure the background of the women. Usually in these cases, what I've noticed, from football players or just sport athletes. It's usually a string of like European ladies, usually blonde, brunette, this kind of stuff. This is what many of the football players tend to go after, and some of these women obviously want to be with them, but some of these women actually do want money, or maybe all of them do, to be fair. And that's usually the primary interest because football players get paid a considerable amount of wages. I did some research on them. I couldn't find any of the imagery of the actual women. Well, what I did find, I don't know if it's been confirmed or not. Apparently, I could be wrong. I think he met a European lady. I think I wrote her name down. Let me see if I wrote her name down. Yolanda Aguirre. I think I'm saying that wrong. If I'm saying it wrong, forgive me. I think a few years back he had an intimate relationship with this lady and she got pregnant. And I think she was getting over £400 a month. They call it a secret love child, but I think that had to slow down or stop because for 3 years he was, I guess, dealing with the alleged claims of the rape, this kind of stuff, right? Or the grape, or whatever it is. Yeah, but it would be interesting to know if I might have to do a diagram to see like how do you square something when it comes to alleged sexual assault when it's not actually true. So could it be intimacy happened and it was a different interpretation? Could it be the other person regretted it afterwards? Could it be it was a forceful event that was there? I need to do a diagram to depict like every time you talk to the victim and the victimizer, whichever direction, and go, what is more likely to be? Just so we can see the many different arrangements of what could happen, of how this could happen, and stuff. I was looking at Russell Simmons. We might cover his case. He was an individual who ran Jeff Jam, and apparently a whole lot of black women have come forward saying that in the 90s he had sexually abused them in some way. And I think he went to an Asian country where you can't be extracted in the States because he's from the States. So we'll cover that. It's a tricky thing because obviously you want to cover factual stuff, but you also, I think as a community, we have to have a primal. So the primal first is protect the children. But at the same token, we have to understand the innocent until proven guilty. So it's a very tricky one. Very tricky one. My heart's always with the victims. So this case, however, was not that. This case was this French player who plays in England who was accused, and I think 3 years of his career have been postponed. Maybe he was 25 when he started at Schumann doing maths, now he's 28 as such. So the thing is the thing is I can't really judge because I haven't seen the women, but we do case studies about the history of black men and European women and white women, and the history of I guess pain between them in the sense of black men being killed in the time of enslavement, unfortunately, by being accused of looking at European women, or actually being with them after the advancement of the European woman, but then the European man finds out, and then obviously kills the enslaved person. It's never good. And then you have certain scenarios in the States, I remember, where they say one of the most affluent, prominent economic cities, Greenwood, Tulsa also, I think it was, Black Wall Street, they called it, that apparently a war started where they blew up the government and the Ku Klux Klan and these kind of people blew it up because allegedly a white lady accused her, I guess, black boyfriend of trying to kiss her or argue in the lift, and then some people said that never happened. There was no argument. It was I don't know. It was a lot, but either way, a lot of deaths and probably was blown up because of that. That union. And this is what I was saying. It's a very, 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 very tragic thing. I think we also looked at the case of Tiger Woods, where he had a wife and she attacked him because she found out that he had a plethora of other wives who pretty much like her. Like he definitely had a preference. It was. It's good to do a case study on black men, rich black men, and non-black women, more particularly white women. It's just an interesting thing, and then more so rich black men who get accused of crimes, and and then this is a case study you have to do where it's like a tremendous amount of non-black people accusing them. That's an interesting thing. I think Michael Jackson was a good case study because he was someone who obviously married 2 European women, adopted 3 European children, and then he somewhat became European looking himself, accidentally or deliberately. He's not too sure at this point. But what was interesting is when we did a case study, when we looked at everyone who was accusing him of being what they describe as a paedophile, they're all European, and there wasn't like one non-European person, a black white person, sorry. And that's something we should really study. And I remember kind of like the OJ trial. Not that I'm saying OJ was guilty or innocent or whatever. But once again, he was with a European woman. But when the murder took place in America and the world, it was kind of divided with the way the media they showed the black people's opinion and the white people's opinion. And then obviously when he got off, the black people were cheering, and then obviously the white people weren't displeased. Yeah, interesting how that black-white dynamic when it comes to race relations and crimes. So we try to unpack here. We try to go that little bit further. So we tried to go. Speaking of, I guess, yes. Speaking this little quote there from Dominic. That was deliberate. Michael Jackson didn't want to look like his dad, basically. Yeah, there were a lot of people say that Michael Jackson either was bullied by his dad, and that's why he had surgery, and then some say maybe he doesn't look like his dad. In the States at the moment, I don't know much about this, so we'll listen to some recordings, but there's a lady called, I want to say Carlee Russell, and apparently she was telling lies about being kidnapped or gone missing or something. And we see this. We saw a similar case with an individual called Jussie Smollett, I want to say. And this guy in the past, he said that he was kidnapped by white supremacists who were driving around with a noose, and they're saying, you know, you N-word, you should die, this kind of thing. And apparently, I don't know if it's been proven or not, but apparently he hired 2 Nigerian bodybuilders who trained him to beat him up, apparently. And then he would report it. And I think he was trying to get a hero kind of thing. This behavior, if it is true, the problem is, you know, black people black people go through so much troubles already, and you never want people to use these things as reasons to not trust any black people. So you should be very cautious about just generally lying. Most people don't believe black people anyway. So lies and stuff is definitely used to undermine progress. So something to worry about. What we're gonna do while I try to find this video, I'm gonna play her case, this lady's case. Where is it? Add the source. There we go. Add the source. All right, hold on. Almost there, family. All right, so let me see which one's the best one. Hold on, give me 17 seconds.
Carlee Russell case.
Not that one. Let's try this one. This one might be slightly better.
Roommates.
Well, my mom. We bought it from a lady's channel. Big up her. Oh, is it playing? Doesn't look like it. Well, I swear this. Did I not just open it?
Roommates, it has been a week since the story of an alleged kidnapping attempt on 25-year-old Carlee Russell hit the internet. However, as more details are released, more unbelievable the story gets. From alleged fake 911 calls to outrageous Google searches moments before the kidnapping, here's all the details we have so far, so you know. For those that may need a refresher, all the drama began with a 911 call from a young woman named Carlee Russell from Birmingham, Alabama, on the evening of July 13th, 2023. On the call with the 911 dispatcher, Carlee claims to have seen a child walking along the highway and continues with a very confusing exchange.
Hi, I am on Interstate 459, and there is a kid just walking by themselves.
Oh, hold on. Where on 459?
I'm right next to the exit 10 by the Peppermint.
Not long after the call, Carlee was reported missing. Police found her car abandoned on the highway, along with her wig, cell phone, and purse near her vehicle. Family members, friends, and strangers across social media alike poured out their support in hopes of her safe return. According to reports, Carlee appeared on her parents' doorstep on foot almost 48 hours later with claims that she had been kidnapped and forced into a truck by an unidentified man. However, as officials begin to look into her story, details began to emerge that raised red flags about whether or not the kidnapping could have been a hoax. Police even released suspicious internet searches made by Russell right before she disappeared. Some of the searches included paying for alerts, how to take money for without getting caught, the movie Taken, and one-way bus tickets from Birmingham to Nashville departing on the date of her disappearance. Not only did folks on the internet chime in, but some even dug up old tweets of Russell's that could be seen as evidence that her entire story was made up. Since Russell's return, police stated they've been unable to verify initial statements, and they have no reason to believe that there is a threat to the public's safety related to this particular case. Her parents have also spoken out publicly regarding the situation. Carlee maintains her innocence and insists that she's being truthful about the events leading up to and following her disappearance. As of right now, police are continuing their investigation in hopes of getting to the bottom of this very strange story. We'll keep you posted as more details unfold. What do you think, roomies? Could Carlee's search history just be a coincidence, or could there be more to this story than meets the eye? Roommates, thanks for watching TSR So You Know of the Week. Share your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe. Kitchen, roommate.
All right, I was going to play this 1 minute of a news report just to see if there's anything we missed in it. Hold on. Oh, once again.
The Carlee Russell case has caught the attention of the nation for the last week. It was a week ago she vanished on I-459. Carlee telling police she stopped to help a child on the side of the road, and then she was kidnapped. She would escape days later in West Hoover. Carlee says she ran through the woods until she made it back home. That was late Saturday night.
So it says in the report, she said she stopped to help a child, and then she was kidnapped by a man with orange hair and bald spot. So at least it wasn't of African descent, I guess. If that's good or bad, who knows?
Hoover police do not believe a child was on the side of the road at any point. Carlee's call was the only report they received last week. So what's next? WVTM 13's Lisa Crane has been following this story closely for the past week.
She joins us live again in Hoover this evening with an interesting perspective tonight on just about everything that we know so far.
Yeah, so many shocking details came out of that press conference yesterday. It was a lot to process, but we know police are still investigating this case. They did tell us yesterday that they really couldn't corroborate any of the details Carlee Russell had given them. We spoke to a Birmingham attorney today to get his take on it.
That's what I think happened.
Eric Guster spent years as a criminal defense attorney. He says, like the rest of the country, he was pulled into the Carlee Russell case. He says while police didn't come out and say it at the press conference, the message was clear.
She said she was kidnapped and the kidnapping didn't happen. Our citizens are safe. There's not a kidnapper out there. So they use every almost synonym for lie except saying she lied.
He says the search for Carlee wasted the time and money of law enforcement and concerned community members. The father of murder victim Anaya Blanchard wrote about it on his Facebook page, saying his wounds had been reopened and it wasn't okay to bring his family into the search.
Imagine going and searching for someone and they're off doing something else and they're never in danger. And you're thinking about saving this person's daughter and yours was not saved. Beyond angry, super livid, that would be me.
Guster says he worries this case could affect future missing persons cases.
It's going to be much more difficult for African-American women to be believed, and it may actually decrease the number of actual reports of things because people are already afraid that they won't be believed.
That's the problem we were talking about, as in many black people, especially black women all over the world, tend to not to believe, they don't have the confidence to come forward. So when you do this kind of stuff, it might make it even harder.
He says right now Carlee needs an attorney to advise her on how to respond to police.
If I was Carlee's attorney, I would speak for her. I would not allow her to speak to the police because anything she says can and will be used against her. I would speak for her. I would go to the mayor. I would go to the police.
All right, stop it there. Thank you very much. Just turn that off. All right, cool. So where are we today? So we just looked at two videos. We then went for a very speedy Gonzalez, or Roadrunner, depending on which one you watched. We reviewed the Benjamin Mendy case, innocent of all charges. Anyone wants to jump off? I've sent the link, by the way. Feel free to jump in if you've got things you want to say about that case. I didn't get time to look because there's plenty of cases of sexual assault in football, and it seems to be an issue here and there, which is never good. And with the obviously the Justice Smollett was similar to the Carlee Russell case, but I guess we wanted to reference it against when black people were telling the truth and not believed. Then people, when someone's lying, it's never a good idea, whatever it is. So feel free to jump in and click if you want. one thing we was doing here as well when it comes to football, because football and sports is we always it's a tricky one really, because I don't know. So what we definitely want to be doing is we're now with the whole Me Too movement coming through and stuff, or really gone by. We were looking at certain things. So I guess we were looking at in the black community. I guess we had R. Kelly, who went to jail. He's been arrested for his underage stuff he was doing. Last week we were dealing with an individual in the community who was trusted at some point and then violated this trust by trying to molest a 14-year-old. And I think they're still waiting for the verdict on that case. Is someone in the States. And then there's one or two kind of cases going that we're waiting for the verdict and see where it goes, so we can report on it. But generally, we definitely want to make black women know that we're here to support your stories, and we hopefully be an outlet for people to tell their stories, and we can work with them. But at the same token, there's the issue of people who might not be telling the truth, which we're dealing with the Mendy case. We have no idea the background of the women in this case, so it's hard to tell. So that's something for us to remember. We don't know the background. I think that's interesting. If they were seen as lying, I don't know because I haven't heard the case, but if they just were lying for, say, financial sake, would they not need to be mentioned as in they have now committed a criminal act? That's an interesting one. Oh, that's an interesting one. That is an interesting one. Give me 5 seconds on. Let me just. Oh, there you go. Yeah. So, there we go. We're joined. Let me just push that. Open up. Hold on. Let me. You saw new technology here, mate. Oh yeah, I think you're live. Welcome, brother. Yeah, you are live. It's working. Hey. We're joined by King Kel. Brother, welcome, brother Kel.
That Betterment King, how you doing, man?
Very good, that Betterment, brother. Are you aware of the Benjamin Mendy case? Is that something that you're aware of?
Not, bro. If you can fill me in.
Yeah. So basically, he's a football player from France. I'm not too sure if he was part of the winning French team who won the World Cup, but he played for France, and he was signed to Manchester City. And what's happened is, I think 3 years ago, 6 to 9 women have accused him of sexual advancements and sexual I don't know the great word, this kind of stuff, right? And I think it's been 3 years now, but he's been proven innocent, I think, of the charges. So this is what everyone's talking about, and I did some research to see, did he have any girlfriends or anyone who supported him? And I found out I think he might have had a child for a European woman, a secret child. I'm not sure if it's been confirmed yet, that he pays money week to week. But outside that, I'm not too sure of anyone else. But this was one of the cases we were talking about, because obviously he's a black man and he was accused of this kind of crime, but he was then proved innocent of all these charges.
Right.
And in the second case, which is in the States, there's a woman who went missing for 3 or so days, I think it was. And she rang in saying that she saw a baby at the side of the road, and that's the last time people heard her. And then when they caught her 3 days later or something, she said she ran away and she was kidnapped by a ginger man for ball sport. And I think they tried to connect all the dots and it didn't add up, and they suspect that she was lying. And they checked her Google history, and she was Googling words like taken and how to, some kind of stuff that indicated an interest in kidnapping. So I think they've dismissed her case and said that she wasn't kidnapped and she was lying. So I suspect there might be a charge to follow, like I guess happened to the guy Jesse Smollett, the guy in the States who was an actor on the Empire Show. I think he was on the Empire Show. I think.
Right.
So anyway, that's the two pieces that we're looking at this week, and I guess we were looking at it once as in like the reason why you shouldn't necessarily be lying, because unfortunately black women are also not believed in the courts at a high rate at the moment. So lying about stuff isn't beneficial. It doesn't, obviously not. And obviously the other one of the brother was wrongfully charged, and happy he's off. And methods of how to minimize him from ever being there again. But we haven't seen the women who accused him. But because of the whole fashion of how football is, there is, and seeing who he impregnated, the assumption would be, if it's anything similar, it wouldn't be any black women.
Right.
So that's what to that. And this was brought to us by Empress Kushti, who spoke about this case last week. So we said we'll follow it up and do a case study on it. For those at home who don't know, we do case studies of football players. We look at the pathology and patterns of football. This is the UK. Some call it soccer. We call it football. But you tend to find the behavior patterns similar in all around the world as it pertains to black people. And we're talking about the important access to European women. I'm trying to find this picture now. Where's it go? There we go. We did a case study on, where is it gone? Is it late or something? Yeah, we did a case study on like the percentage of black players who don't marry black women, and we also look at the history of the levels of being accused and it actually not being true, and we're looking at like the patterns of this, and is there a learning from I guess black football players when it comes to constantly I guess having negative stuff forced upon them, and I think if you guys are looking at the screen at the moment, we did a case study a few weeks back where we're trying to find the percentage of black. This thing is slowing down. Look at this, terrible. The black football players who choose black wives and girlfriends, and black football players who don't. And we found there's a high consistency that many of them don't. I think in the 2000s until the 2010s, for the ones who played for England, this is the national team, that I found 39 of them so far of those of the black people have European girlfriends and wives, while only is it right to say 5? Well, only 7 have black partners. Now, when it comes to people coming forward, it does tend to be European women coming forward, accusing black men of stuff. You don't really get black women coming forward. However, there are cases, I guess, in the States when it comes to musician stuff, where black women come forward. And if those cases are true, we definitely support them, and we want to find them justice. Let's go back on that. So that is, I guess, in a nutshell, the topic. Oh, where is it? There you go. Da-da-da. So, any opinions on that, Brother Kerr, if you're available? Any opinions on that? And by the way, fam, the links in there. So, any women, feel free to jump in, have your say. What's your opinions on the Benjamin case, or just the case in general of black men being falsely charged in this case, and then also the small percentage, but unfortunate, some black people lying about being kidnapped. This kind of small trend that we might be observing potentially.
Yeah, we have to be careful with fabrication, because there is some historical evidence that we are being kidnapped, and unfortunately our organs are being sold, because we are the Sun people, the original people, and our genetically dominance is like no other. So by making these things up for some form of attention, or whatever intention it may be, it definitely goes against the best interest of how we need to move. Unfortunately, lack of security for the community is not there yet, and we are in a multicultural era where we're promoting that. So to organize and under this fabrication, it doesn't work for us. So we have to try and limit these things. I mean, do we know why the sister was doing them things? You know what I mean? What made her? You know what I mean?
Yeah. So, well, I think we can look at it was still fresh now. They haven't pushed charges against her.
Right.
But if we look at the Jesse Smollett one, and this is the actor singer who said he was the gay Tupac, I think, because I think he's a homosexual, and I think he called himself the gay Tupac, something like that. And I think for him, I guess maybe he lived a kind of like very sheltered life where he was provided a lot, and I guess he wanted some kind of what he thought of as street cred, sympathy voting, or something like this. And I guess by him being attacked by racist people, that will make him, I guess he'll get some kind of publicity. And it's very odd that this is like, it's funny because rather than actually like dedicating your life to Black betterment and promoting Black love and Black economics and really, really being about that kind of life, you would rather be allegedly beat up by a white supremacist and then have interviews about it. This is, I guess, where he was, but it kind of backfired. I think he was fined or something like this. So we're still waiting for what would motivate this lady here to do this. But I don't know if she's not well. That's another thing. Like, is this woman cognitive? Does she understand, what she's doing? I don't know. I haven't really seen. They haven't really got an interview of her past the phone call she made before she went missing, which is very terrible.
Yeah, man, that's as I said, bro, it's very serious, man. Because I think the females, I'm gonna speak for UK, even though it's a global thing. They don't understand, and we've got proof of this, is that the females have been kidnapped a lot by the system, particularly the police department, and that's a very serious thing. So, for her to do this, you're just kind of playing into the narrative. It doesn't make any sense. You know what I mean? And sometimes our sisters got to understand that, whatever's going on, come to a synchronized community. And that, I mean, look, we've got the AdPac, Brother Raven, the Manhood Academy. There's these organizations which are branch off Black nationalism, which, Stokely Carmichael, known as Kwame Ture, brought, in the UK in the late 60s. I'm not saying all the Black movements are effective. However, there's always help where you can sit down and, and talk about certain things and require from the sisters instead of making an announcement, because, what's going to happen now? Is there going to be a movement of our sisters doing this? And then the non-African says to themselves, oh, and then they do things to our sisters. And, us brothers, collectively, we can't protect our women. You understand? So, things like that, they've got to take into consideration, if that makes any sense.
Yeah. I mean, the thing is, we're unfortunately, as a collective, we're many steps behind at the moment. And so there's very few people, very rarely believe certain statements certain people make. So the more that comes out in the mainstream that there is lying, it'll be used as a kind of marketing tool to undermine every single voice. So that's why, we've got to be very careful and cognitive about the things we say publicly, because it will be used against us. And it's never good, especially in the States. That's where this lady's based. So yeah, this is definitely error-prone behavior, error-prone. And I don't know. I hope maybe she'll learn from it. I'm not too sure. With the Benjamin Mendy case, I'm not too once again, without seeing who he was dating or what was happening, it's hard to give a kind of judgment. But he knows whatever kind of woman and where he was meeting them and whatever he was doing. So if he is innocent of all these charges, it's in his best practice to not go to any women like that ever again, whatever those women might be. That's what I would conclude. Wherever he found these particular women who have accused him of something that the courts have said is not true, he wants to go nowhere near them ever again. He's missed 3 years of his career, maybe the prime of his kind of football, 25 to, or maybe the prime was like 21 to 24, so I don't know. But generally, it's 25. He's now at most kind of retirement age at the top level, late 20s, early 30s. And it's a shame he missed it because of this. But yeah, it's yeah, I don't know. It does wonder if how many other cases have happened. By the same token, women, we do support cases that are true, and if if they come forward and there are people who need to be put to justice, then we support that. But once again, this is such a strong case, such a strong thing to accuse someone of doing sexual assault, that if you're lying, I mean that's equally or even worse as a case, isn't it? That's definitely. We're joined by the lady who gave us the scoop on this. We're Black Betterment Empress Kush, Black Betterment.
Black Betterment family.
Welcome. It's good. It's always good to have you. It's always good to have that balance, that balance on the broadcast. Now, it was actually Empress Kush who brought up last week about maybe talking about Brother Benjamin who got off. And I did some research. I didn't find out the women who I think the women are defended, and which I was wondering about that. Like if it comes out that they were actually lying to make money, should they be defended? Because sure that's a crime, right?
Exactly.
If that's what has happened.
Black Betterment, Brother Cal, nice to see you back on the panel. I agree. Isn't that classed as slander, bro?
Yeah, and I think what's happened is he's obviously lost the money. Someone will know more than me, but I'm assuming while this was happening, he wasn't picked for the international team as well as the local team, or the club team. But I don't know the technical ins and outs. But
when the time when this scandal got released, it jeopardized his prospects.
Yes.
It sounds a lot like the brother, the actor, who's in current fighting right now, who was supposed to be one of the Marvel characters, right? And all of his
yes. Oh, this is very true. I forgot his name, but you're right. Is his case still going, or was he proved innocent?
Yeah, I think that the tides turned on that one. I should have brought that information on if I suggested this one, so we could have matched them up. But yeah, that's another.
Good, because I was well, I remember because he was a gentleman who was very famous for being with European women.
Yeah,
and I think that backfired, and a lot of them accused him of some kind of nefarious act, and I think. I wasn't too sure where it came, but I know he lost a lot of like he was like very big roles
exactly.
he lost. Like, I think he was the main villain of the new Marvel, which is a big thing.
Yeah,
Marvel's like a big franchise and this kind of stuff.
Absolutely.
And I think I don't know if it was connected or maybe he saw the light or something, but I think he's now dating a black lady.
Yeah.
Which is always good. That's in principle, I guess. But the hope was that it wasn't as a kind of defense mechanism
for the optics.
Yeah, his name is Jonathan Mayer. Is that his name?
Yeah, Jonathan Mayer.
You big up, Brother Dominic, always with the research there.
Big up, bro. But you know, I think we should. I'll look into it and I'll bring back the information, I guess, on the next show. But I even heard that because at first we was a bit skeptical. I was a bit skeptical because, given your history and now all of a sudden the optics, I didn't want to, because we've been played like that before. But I've heard that I saw somewhere, but I've not looked into it properly, so I will make sure for next week that how the issue actually stemmed because he has actually been in a relationship with this black woman and the white woman found out, hence the domestic, right? So now, now all of a sudden he's a hero in this, now so we'll see. So I'll get more information on that. But again, the story remains that these men have only been accused and they're losing out big time on their opportunities.
Well, I'm reading a comment and it just came out a few days ago, or hours ago. It's like NYPD has evidence to arrest woman who said Jonathan Mayer's hit her. So it looks like there's an article saying that a woman alleged that he was violent to her, but the evidence was not there, or maybe she was lying. And I think that they're potentially looking to arrest her for coming forward. And this is the thing, like, if that's the truth, if that's the case, then look at the damage it's caused.
Exactly.
This man has lost. Like I mean, look, as an actor, that's kind of like these films hit like 1 billion sales. Like,
Exactly.
and he was the antagonist. And more, not that I want to go off on one, but I stopped watching the Marvel films many years ago, but I noticed he played a character called Kang.
Yeah, come on, bro. Oh my God, I couldn't believe it. I didn't want to read into it. But
Yeah.
I just thought, and his character in that as well, and what a timing for him to come out, because I'm not really I don't know as much. So I don't know if this character has always been around or if they just bring this character now
No,
and called him
he's been
Kang.
around since 1964,
Okay, all right.
and he wasn't black. He was he was like an
Oh,
android-looking blue thing.
interesting.
So I mean they and the thing is he I haven't seen his makeup, but I don't I'm trying to see if I can see him as that. They seem to swipe the internet of this guy, but yeah, but for those who don't know what we're getting, Kang, the word Kang is a derogative term towards black men, who when black men, in order to uplift each other, we would call each other kings. But what the white supremacists would do is, because they didn't take us serious, and also it was connected to Egypt and Mali, when they said that you might see us as slaves now, but we used to be kings, and they would then mock by saying, "I'm a Kang," as in, like, I guess working on some kind of southern accent, or so I don't know what it was, but generally that's where it came from.
Yeah.
So I mean, people might say it's coincidence, whatever, coinky dink, whatever. But the fact that now this universal android character is played by a black man who's called Kang, I don't know. But then probably just read into it. But very rarely are we. But who knows? Yeah, it's one of those things. But the reason we're talking about this, bro, is because apparently there's no evidence to say he did the things they said he did. And some of the women might be arrested. He was a gentleman who seemed to be all a plethora of European women, white women, who accused him of these things. And that's another thing. I wanted to.
Why don't they learn the first time though? Like once bitten, twice shy. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Even if you really are a humanist, just at some point, do you not see a pattern? Like, it's that whole thing about the dopamines really being powerful, or this want to be accepted, or this need to be there, that no matter how much times I've been stung in this very expensive way, like it's expensive emotionally, it's expensive financially, it's expensive publicly, and you're still doing this, bro. Do you know what I mean?
The thing is, from my experience, and it's what I'm going to say, very controversial and shocking, but I think with a lot of black men, like, access to white women is the holy grail. It really
Literally.
is. I think in their mind it's worth every single danger. And here's what it is: it's obviously we promote black love here; it's just automatic. But I think when I'm observing some, like, just white women generally, like what they're used to and what they can do. Like, there's a video of a white woman breaking down. I was going to play it one time, and it's like, I don't know if she's gone confused or she's losing her marbles or something like that. But it's almost like this is. I think I want to say it's in America, but it's like she's lost her. It's just like she's losing her mind. And it's like she was probably a normal, relative person who was walking down, but when she's losing her mind, the default thing she started screaming was the N-word. And it's like and then a black woman approached her, and then she started attacking black men and attacking people on a bike, and she started throwing a phone on the floor. I think she tried to attack a black woman who didn't punch her in the face, and then there's a video of it out there. I see it's like the default, like it's like that's her default personality, and her entire life is not actually succumbing to it. And then when she goes mad or gets angry, like loses her marbles, that's the default thing, to just shout the N-word. And there's other cases, like, where you might have news reporters, and we have to get a list of it, where something happens where they accidentally, I think they call it a Freudian slip, where they'll use an N-word, or they'll do something, whatever. And this is like, the thing is, especially with America, but I mean England and Canada and all the rest of the places, no different. What people keep forgetting is how racism was actually a culture, right? Mistreating black people was a part of a culture. So, like, every study I do, for example, right, Like if I was to study wrestling, like professional wrestling, right? What's interesting about wrestling is when you look at wrestling, which is for those who know, it's like they pretend to wrestle and then the victory is chose by whoever runs the company of the wrestling. When you look at the history of wrestling, you find out that there's been very few black champions. But when you look at boxing, mixed martial arts, kickboxing, this kind of like contact sports, you find that black men and women, but black men particularly, dominate for centuries, just winning every single belt upon belt. But when you look at wrestling, there's none. That like, literally, maybe Rock might count for one, but generally none, right? And that's because it's picked by a European person who owns the actual event, whatever. And racism was a big part of culture. So why would you pick a black person if you could pick someone? While boxing itself was determined by who is the actual strongest person. So you had to actually fight whatever, and that way black people could win that. But the irony is when you look at the first ever black boxing champ, come on, but what's his name, guys? I should not forget this. But what's the it's not Jack Johnson, is it? Am I wrong? Jack John. If you look at the first ever black boxer,
It's either Jack or Joe.
Jack Johnson, the boxer, right? Now he was either the first or second. There might have been a guy from America who went to England in the black and white days. No, I'm talking about the paper days before TV, whatever, right? But Jack Johnson was active from. Let's see what active from. What trying to see early life boxing career started. Wow, really 1898. Oh, that's early. So yeah, but what was he was he beat up a lot of people, and obviously this was the only time where black people were allowed to strike white people, and then this caused like certain riots when this happened, and there was a lot of people who wanted to see him white people beat him, but they didn't. I think his fights were banned and had to be played in Australia, something like that. I need to really research. I can't remember, but what was interesting was obviously when he had time to get as a rich black man, he chose to marry a white woman, and I think this is what got him arrested because he was driving from one state to another, and because he had a white woman's car, they could have actually accused him of I think like transferring women across state for sexual purposes. This kind of is I think it's how they used to get pimps and stuff like back in the day, like when you transfer women. So that's how they got him with his. I don't know if it was his wife or a girlfriend or whatever it was, but it was another case of a black man being rich, and the first thing he does is goes to a white woman, and obviously the white people weren't best pleased, and they got him for that. I guess black men feeling that white women are a come up or the ultimate goal. We need to have a marketing campaign to obviously change that, because what we're realizing is tremendously damaging, and it is unfortunately, whether we want to admit it or not, in some regards, or many regards, if not all regards, connected to low self-esteem and I guess a failure to fix up your community. I think I have a picture of his wife there. Yeah, is that his wife? Eta Dina, who killed herself. Oh dear, I don't know. Okay, I don't know how many wives he had, but I think she. Oh, there we go. His wife is still in. Yeah, so I think his first wife killed herself, unfortunately, but his second wife looks European. It led to Johnson's first. Yes, so Johnson's first wife, Lucille, in 2021. The relationship led to Johnson's first 1912 arrest. Never good. But anyway, what I was talking about was every time you review some historical stuff, so comic books. So, for example, we're talking about the Marvel films. If you read in the Marvel or DC comic books, every time black people were there, let me let the sister back in. Every time, there we go, back. Sorry, sis. New technology. There you go. You're back. Every time. There you go. If you research comic books, Marvel, you realize that every single time a black person was seen back in the heyday of the golden age, it would be mistreatment. When you look at wrestling, it would be the same. When you look at movies, it would be the same. So the point I'm trying to make is European culture was based upon mistreating black people, and we haven't really addressed that. So today it's just it's built upon that foundation, and so that's why all these things seem to. So when you look at black men and or even just how European women might just accuse black men, or when they get angry, they might just accuse black men of this kind of stuff. There's a history to warn it. I think there was a European cop, sorry, a white cop in the States who he was approaching a white lady and she started crying, and he said, "Not to worry, we only kill black people." And it was caught on tape, and
I remember that one.
and but what I'm saying is this default way of thinking that we hear it and we move on, but in order for this to exist, it explains why all these things happen with these men being arrested at high rates and this kind of stuff. It just comes down to you kind of need a code. Like until we have a solution to this problem, black men need to all correlate with a code. And
There should be a code right now. Like, for example, what's happening with these accusers? Are they getting let off?
Well, this is an interesting thing because there is sometimes a defense mechanism where like these women are protected, and I think if it can be proved that they're scheming, as in they're trying to punish a person or get payment or something, then they're now criminals, right? If that's the case, I don't know the case itself. There was a case. I mean, this is me being very random. It's put nothing to do with anything, but there was a case of where happened. I think in Wimbledon. No, I haven't seen it. So if it's been updated, I don't know. But I think there was a woman who drove into a nursery, and unfortunately, children were injured and one or two passed away. But I haven't seen what this woman looks like. I don't know if that was a crime or not, or what it is. But there is like this kind of. I don't know how the law works when it comes to defending people's identity, but I think if you accuse someone, no, don't get me wrong. Let me say this: we understand that there are many victims of sexual assault, and we always stand with the victims. I know it takes a lot to come forward, and there are certain predatory people who get away. But I think the Weinstein individual, and it was documented that this guy was doing this stuff for years. By the same token, there are also perpetrators and liars and people who want money.
Oh my God! Dominic said that she was a 40-year-old white woman.
Is that the one who ran to the car, or the one who's that one?
I think this is in regards to Benjamin.
Oh, the one who accused him of oh really? Oh really? Okay.
These people I just honestly, he should see these, I think, these footballers, they need to be prepped, just as well as they probably need to be prepped in regards to their finance and things like that. They need to be able to be prepped into, like know that you're a mark, to some of these women. Like there's women that's just literally groomed to be able to just pursue you and understand what their image is to you once you've gotten to this place like this, because it's just a reoccurrence at this point where you just think, like back in the day, it used to be a joke. It used to be a reoccurring theme. Like classic stand-ups would say things like this, where it'd be like, you wouldn't go to there, or you're not going to do that. Like it was a known thing. So I don't know why with over here it has not translated with the footballers, because since I've been young, black footballers have been in and out of these kind of scandals. So it just surprises me, because even on the opposite side of the ponds, they know that they're a mark. They understand that those two type of women exists. So it's just sad to see this, because like you said, I think it plays on the mental health. I mean, it's not a good thing as a man to be accused of, is it?
No.
The isolation that he must have felt throughout this trial. People who must have turned his back on him, and the racism, it's just, and this is what I'm saying, like you said, like it holds weight to what you said, that, just to have them is worth anything,
Yeah, because the black man, I don't think a lot of us know this, but the black man was raped in enslavement by the white woman. If anyone could get and autobiography, the white woman used to rape the black man. So to combat that, the woman, to appear that she's been raped, to justify that she was raping black men. And it's very kind of it's sickening, the fact that the black man doesn't understand that the non-African women's self-esteem is based upon the character assassination of black women. So by that dynamic, the black woman is the more confident and more beautiful just by relying on the character assassination. You know what I mean? And we need to kind of market things, you know, your women, it's a fantasy. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's
For me
illusion.
personally, I don't need to go outside and put people down in order for me to make myself look handsome, etc. But that's what
Exactly.
the so if the black man's not gonna understand that, and we, you know, because I use it all the time and they can't say anything, you know, it's just like it leaves them discombobulated and that, you know, them ones. So it's like, you know, but we need to kind of let them know that, remember, your women rely on the character assassination of black women.
Just to
Without it,
feel good.
right? So
Yeah. And that screams insecurity. Do you know what I mean? Because if I knew I was better, I wouldn't have to put anything down. Do you know what I mean? To retain it. And I think you're absolutely right. As soon as you start using psychology on people, and that's why I think for these brothers, I mean, it's a hard industry to get at the top of, you know, to be a footballer, and you know they've got these shows of these kids and what they have to endure and how tight it is and how strict it is, and you know it is a hard graft to get to that pinnacle. But once you're there, that's the hard work has kind of just begun, and it's realizing where you are, where you're positioned at, and there is nothing there telling them. The only people who are their guidance are who? They're probably their publicist, their manager, you know, everyone who has their own interests at heart. You know, when all of this popped off, I saw no one around him. I saw no one rallying around him. No friends that he's probably grown up with. No one of his football buddies. You're like stigmatized when you get this kind of thing put on you. And you know, I just think that, you know, I hope the brothers start looking at this and learning from it, because it's a consistent thing. It's just dangerous. Yeah, I mean, you know, he done his own choices, the bad choices, but I mean, you know, I don't know what's going to happen to him for his future. Same with John Majors as well. Same thing. Like it's just, you know, it's very detrimental to these brothers. And I think that once these brothers hit pinnacles, only when they hit pinnacles, imagine that when he's training, no one knows this man. When they're training in and out, when they're probably earning pittance. We never heard boo from Boo. John Major, when he was being a what is it, a starving actor, artist, you don't hear from Boo. As soon as they hit the pinnacle, oh my God, it all comes out of the foot of the works. You know. Sorry, brother Cal, what should you say?
I don't think we should feel sorry for them. You know, we
No,
need
I
to.
don't feel. That's what I mean. I don't feel sorry for him. I just, because I've seen this like played out so many times. I'm just saying, like, I mean, like I said, he chose his choices, and I was saying earlier on that, you know, I don't understand why they do this. This is always reoccurring. It's happened before. But what I'm saying is, I kind of mourning for him his loss. Same with John Majors, what he could have had, because he has lost it for this. It kind of ties into what we're all saying. It's this need for acceptance that you'll go through anything. This is not the first occurrence for John Major. He's constantly going out with white women. Same with this footballer. Well, we've seen this story play out over and over again, brother Cal, but yet they're still doing it. Do you know what I mean? Like that's why I said, to me, it's like this is a mental thing at this point. Like they need to be told, you know, that they do that with a lot of the athletes in regards to their finances and things like that. They notice that a lot of these athletes were over in America, that they noticed that a lot of them were turning broke by the time they were mid-20s, before they could even really start a family. So they started to have to educate them in regards to finance. And I think that there's something to be said to educating these, because remember, when you're a footballer, more times you're starting out from the juniors. So these people have got you from a kid, and you're training hard. So by the time you're in your teens, your young teens, they're like your people, they're your parents, they're your aspirations, they're your family. And you know, at what point is there a black ear in at that boy's head to say, look, you know, watch out for this one, or there's nothing there. So it's not that I'm feeling sorry for him, it's recognizing that there's this has been going on since I was a little person. I used to call them kiss and tells on the Sunday paper, like the newspapers and things like this. Has been going on and that's why I said to brother, like, I can't believe this is still going on. Honestly, like I'm actually like, you know, it's just at this point, it's like, okay, there's an issue here, because they're clearly not looking at the outcome and thinking, oh my God, like they're still doing the same thing and expecting a different result is insanity.
What I was referring to, though, is that we should kind of not approve them when they want to come back home. That's what I was referring to. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Okay.
What does that look like? Because at the moment, the brother Jonathan, is it Jonathan? No, what is it? The Kang brother. He
yeah, Jonathan.
Yeah, so yeah, he's got a very appealing black woman now, and obviously we promote that, but some people thinking it was more of a marketing stunt, which we definitely don't approve of. If you only want a black woman, like as some kind of branding, because of what the multiple Europeans who are putting a case against you. Not that I'm saying this happening. I'm just saying what I read. So, because naturally we would want affluent, rich black men to find constructive black women, but as long as it's sincere, you see, it has to be a sincere thing, and I'm hoping that is.
We should more promote the sister and never promote him. What as a punishment?
Yeah. Maybe. I mean,
you know what I mean, like letting the sister know that, hopefully you can stay on code as much as possible, but don't approve of him, because the more we approve of him, it will get away the fact that he's made a mistake, which has cost the black community, so we should really not approve of him, but approve the sister. I know it's hard and
that's
hard.
music to my ears.
However, it's for the best. Yeah, it's for the best interest of the race, man. You know what I mean? Or it's going to continue to happen.
I think
so.
There was.
I think it's strong to make a powerful stance like that, because even I was saying that, okay, what is now going to happen to the accusers? But if we did have like a stance, which I think that's a very militant stance, of just like, well, you stepped out, you deal with it. I think even that, we're not even rallying against, okay, how are we going to help the brother? Whereas you chose to go into that area and that arena and step out. Now you have to fend for yourself in there. I think one of the issues is that black people are always a default, right? So even if I messed up, I can still come back, because there's no standards. So I do agree with that point of just having that, now you've put yourself in it and learn, because this is what I'm saying. There's no learning happening here. It's just doing the same thing over and over again. So perhaps if you were shun and you understood that once you're out, and you don't have that default group, you probably would make better choices.
Yeah. I hear that. There was that case of I want to say it was Nigerian, American. I think he was American football player, but maybe he wasn't. And he was murdered, unfortunately, by his European girlfriend.
White woman.
Yeah, and I think they got the recordings of her calling him the N-word and other abusive things and attacking him constantly. But then they also found tweets of a pastime of him mocking black women and saying things that's unfavorable towards black women. So what you're seeing here is you have a man who obviously he's the prize is the European woman. The point where even if she tries to kill him or attack him, this is okay because she's the prize.
I think she killed him, didn't she? In the end,
she did kill him. Yeah, unfortunately.
And she didn't face no charges.
I don't think so. I don't.
Yeah,
think
she got scot-free.
Let me just. We should research this to make sure. But at first, I know there was an arrest. At first, like when the police came, they never she's the only one in the room, and I think she said that he attacked her. I think that's what it was, and I think they believed her or whatever. So yeah, it was problematic.
Yeah,
it was very problematic.
And the thing is, the black women actually, that was a demonstration of the black women actually taking charge. Because I remember there was a big push on there where black women were not making any fuss about it. I think that was one of the first cases when I really saw that this was getting serious, because where typically, bloggers and things like that are majority like women, and well at that point as well, and especially about news and things that would happen within the community and what would rally about. And there was literally radio silence on his case. No one would talk about it, or if they would, they'd actually mention the tweets that he did of black women, and no one was defending him. And it was so bad, there was getting no media, no support. So it looked like the community didn't care. And it got so bad that his brother actually came out and begged like apologized for his brother, said that the tweets that he said was like ridiculous, like, you know, at the end of the day he is one of us and he has been murdered and stuff, and now he starts like playing the black card. And I think that just, it like, for me, that is just such a textbook scenario. It's such a vital time. It shows so much things, but yeah. So
I'm looking at, because obviously on my screen is the Wikipedia of the first heavyweight boxer, Jack Johnson, who was famous for beating up white people in the ring. So that's why he was despised a lot. And I'm looking at his marriage history, and his first wife committed suicide, but I want to say his first wife is a white woman.
yeah, I heard all he, like, if it's the old school boxer, I heard that's all he dealt with, like white women, because he said that he wanted to like throw it in their faces and.
Oh my gosh, yeah, I'm reading. I'm sorry, just, you know, when things just jump out. So Johnson engaged in various relationships, including 3 documented marriages. All of his documented wives were white.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is so he could actually, not to be disrespectful or anything, but because I assume he was one that, because boxing was a big thing back in the day, and it's one of how people became rich. I suspect that he would have been someone who would have been allowed to get rich because they had to pay him for winning, and he would have drawn money. That's how boxing works. Like, if you draw money, you make more money.
Yeah.
He had 3 marriages, and they were to white women. So his name could be used as a metaphor towards, I guess, that behavior pattern where someone becomes rich. And it's interesting because you got to think this would have been in the 1800s, right?
Right.
So it's like it was against the law. He would have been killed. Openly mistreating black people was a part of the culture. But yet, despite these dangers, this was 3 times. 3 times. So it's interesting to talk to a brother like that, or even modern day brothers, and go like, because I remember when I was at Speaker School, and I would talk to a lot of the brothers, and the way they would interpret marriage and partnership was, well, you know, the European man has kept me down, so I take his woman. And I was like, okay, you could look at it that way, or you could look at that you have a chance now to protect the black woman and provide for her, and you decide not to go for the daughters of the man who's been trying to attack you. It's like, it's how you know. I don't know. I think there's
let me ask you, as brothers, the psychology of that, right? That's very interesting because we're talking about it's the 1800s, so that's against the law anyway.
Yeah.
And not once did you test the law when you are a black man that's in America, where it's like literally you can walk past a man hanging from a tree, right? It was very visible, like danger, and you're not only in a space where you are literally like licking down white men in a ring publicly. You would have thought that was the ultimate dominating sign of dominance and masculinity and being the winner and stronger and all of that kind of, you know, stuff that's adjacent to like the kind of manhood and stuff like that. And you know what I mean? You would have thought that in a time when they've called you nothing but a slave and you're stepping in foot of a ring and just putting them down publicly, physically making them bleed, you know, at the point where they couldn't even look each other in the eye. Why was that not enough? Why do you know what I mean? Like you're already as a slave, you can walk around and a white man could be like, think twice to talk to you. Do you know what I mean? Like that would have been I could only imagine what that would have felt like, right? It must have been such a mind puzzling experience for him. But why was that not enough? You had money because I always remember the image of him in that kind of, you know, that kind of old school car, isn't it? It's like he's in that car and he's got the white woman next to him, that famous picture. So he had the wealth as well. He had the drapes. You know, you're the only black man walking on earth that can literally beat in that white men. So your whole race must love you as well. Like, why do that? Why now go for white women after white women? Do you know what I mean? Like, why need that when you, as a slave, or like not as a time where your people were?
He might have been. He might have. He's so long ago that him or his dad might have been born.
Exactly. You just think, wouldn't that be enough? You know, like it's just
logically. It's just a question, right? When you look at the psychological of the man, right? he has the ability, and I'm going to codify this, to impose on any female, right? So when we look at the Africans, ancient times, we know, for example, the Moors and other African tribes, they did used to practice interracial relationship for several reasons. At the same time, they had collective power. So the Africans' children that came out of that interracial relationship, right, they would also be used as armies to help out. So it's in every man's nature to understand that, to be dominant, you have to have loads of women by you, and that is kind of one of the aspects of a man. This is why, polygyny, etc. The problem with the black man now is because of that hormone that we have, right? He believes that he's still in that state where he can have all these women, right? And then he'll have power, but we don't have any power. It's something that's indistinct inside of us, right? Just like, for example, some of us, and every man in that, right? That concept of, oh, things are not working out, I'm gonna leave to go somewhere else.
Yeah.
And it's in all of us. So a lot of us fight that. Do you understand? And a lot of us fight the kind of urge to go with different types of. I've never been with a non-African woman before in my life. Do you understand? But I do remember that you have to have a mindset. It's not because they are vile, etc. It's to do with that how I was raised. From both backgrounds, is that there's a value with the black woman. Brother Raven speaks about all the time. When you look at historically, the black woman's the only one that has helped the black man, and all those non-African men have always wanted her. And at the same time, there's something not right with, okay, if these women are so, magnificent and they're for women, then why haven't you collectively as non-African women gone against the system to let the system know that it's very disrespectful, that you don't think that we're beautiful via assassinating the black woman's beauty to make us feel beautiful? They're not even doing that. So I don't see any value with them to be with them. But the black man, because of that masculine hormone that we have, is to impose. And when you impose, right, it's very dominant. If that makes any sense.
Yeah. No, we should really study the Jack Johnson. It's very interesting because I'm looking at, because there was a lot of race riots that was caused by him beating white men in the ring, and they banned a lot of his videos from being shown. And then I was looking at I think around about the time he was doing this, they banned him from being played, and they started playing the Birth of a Nation film, the one about black people. And this was the first ever widespread video back, in the video before, the first ever popular film was The Birth of a Nation. And this film was about...
Yeah, it was like the first ever movie. It was the first ever movie played in the White House. It was like the first movie,
first major movie.
Yeah.
And it was basically about the fear of black men taking over. And obviously in there you have...
there was a birth of the Ku Klux Klan.
Yeah. And trying to marry white women was one of the fears as well. So he was actually he was allowed to beat up white men, and he married 3 white women. So you see why someone like
was the muse. He was the evolution of that. That was the fear, innit?
Yeah, he was that.
He existed.
The metaphor of that. The body of that. He did everything like that, right? And he was rich and wealthy, and then they couldn't beat him. We were talking about this before because I was looking at films that's made. I was looking at so when you look at films that make money, right? There's films that gross the most, and there's films that have the highest percentage. And what that means is you times the budget by how much it grosses. So if a film costs £1 but it makes $1 million, it's the percentage is really high, right? And I was looking at some of the top ones, and I think Rocky #1 is like top 5. And this is a film that I think it cost. Let me just start out just to get the facts with them. But the Rocky's a very good case study, because I told a white person this, and he didn't believe the word I was saying about why Rocky, a film that it just came from nowhere, was exceptionally popular. And let me get it cost $960,000 to make, right? But it made $221 million. That's a very good percentage growth, right?
Is that the first Rocky or all
That's the first one.
Rockies?
Yeah.
Wow.
Technically, every single Rocky is a successful film. Every single one. Even though they didn't make as much as that one, because the budget went up, it still made a lot. It still made a lot of money. But in the reason why this was seen as people wanted to come and see is because it was describing in the trailer a white hope, and this is for those who don't know what white hope is. It was when boxing became very popular because so many black men were winning consistently in all the weights. White men weren't best pleased with this, so they were looking for a white hope who could actually win, like the Great White Hope they called it. And I think at a certain point they gave up on this concept, but then they thought maybe in fantasy, like Rocky, this kind of stuff, they can achieve this, and that's why it was such a very popular kind of film. So this is the pop culture phenomenon that they described as. There you go. But there's a psychology behind why a film such as this did really well, right? A European boxer, Italian boxer, whatever, who's exceptional and is going on to potentially try to beat some of the best black men that box.
Definitely, I think it would be very. I think the fact that you said that happened around the same time of A Birth of a Nation coming out is very telling. So yeah, it would be good to do that because I think that's what's missing as well. I think when we look at things, if we look at what was happening and around at the time, it'll be so much easier to connect the dots. I think quicker.
Yeah.
Especially in regards to psychology and the reason why people do things and that's basically what we are about here, right? It brings context to what we're saying basically, and a context that they can't argue on because it's factual, right? This is what was actually happening around this time, you know. So I do think I've definitely realized that last few years that that's what I do with history because it actually it just makes stuff so much clearer and it makes things so much more obvious. It's like, you know. So I think that doing that and doing that more, I think it'll help paint a picture, especially when you're speaking to the people that you're speaking to as well, bro. I just think it's definitely a good element to bring to it because I mean, if that don't tell you so many things, I mean, what does that tell you? I mean, a man like him comes out and then next thing you know, you got Birth of the Nation. Do you know what I mean, right? I mean, if that isn't screaming people's insecurities or,
well,
I mean...
we bring it up a lot, and this is what I'm telling you about code and optics, where, and I bring up a lot, but it's very important. It's this concept of in the English-speaking world, when they made films, within the rules of the films, it was a black man is not allowed to strike a white man. This is the rules of the film. If you do this in the film, you will not, the film will not be released, right? So this is in the rules of Hollywood, right? It also reminds me when I was talking about every time I've done history on any kind of industry, it's very shocking. I was looking at the history of comics, and there's a thing where comics, I don't want to get it wrong, but there's a thing where because comics were doing a lot of death, nudity, and this kind of stuff, they had to have like a rating, like this comic is now being rated and it can be read by children, this kind of stuff, right? And I think one of the comics that broke away from the authority, the first comic to break away as in like, I no longer want to use your authority to judge my comic, was a comic about a spaceman. And the spaceman went to space. He was doing all this space kind of stuff. He was searching for whatever he's searching for. And, and then the people were finding this comic or whatever it was, and it was a good read, like the spaceman. And right at the end of the spaceman's journey, he turns to the ship or whatever, takes off his helmet, and he's a black man. And this was this was unthinkable. This was, I think, what, about the 50s maybe, and they said absolutely not. You ain't releasing this. No black man's going to space. This is not what we want. So remember, this code was based upon murder, rape, drug deal, this kind of stuff, right? Things that destroy society. And a black spaceman was ban that comic. And so I think the guy who wrote it, he tried to disassociate from the rating system, and this was the first. One day we'll do because comics is interesting because it's filled with racism from the very beginning. Yeah, all up until like I think the Black Panther was made to apologize for like 50 years of racism from Marvel. Like that's why they made him, unbeatable. Like technology is the best, and he beats Captain America because it was like we need to do something that's very kind because we've been mistreating black people for a good four decades now. Yeah, and I think Black Panther was the apology token thing, what it was, right? So yeah, it's just. But the point I'm trying to make for those who are listening is black people have gone through like a history of mistreatment that sits upon another history of mistreatment. So when we are studying these cases and you have a plethora of non-black women trying to get black men arrested for alleged sexual assault cases, there's a history to this, and but we also see a history of black men who are just like foaming for the mouth to jump back into these spaces, like really wanting to be around the European man's daughter, and we should really try to
even from his own detriment.
Yeah, and it doesn't matter. Like I think when you're studying what's his name, Tiger Woods, I remember him. I always bring up, but they said he was beaten up by white boys in school and they flushed his head down the toilet. And because they said because you N-word this kind of stuff, right? But he still obviously fancied the European woman. But even though when he married a European woman, she took half his wealth or whatever it was, and he was with a plethora of European women, and all that kind of scandal that came out was based upon it. I think he recently is there again now with another European woman who won't leave his house. I think
yeah, I heard something like that. But
there's another one. She's refused. She says, "I know you're not married to me, but because I live in your house, I want half of your wealth."
She refuses to leave the premises.
Yeah, until you give me. Surely, Tiger Woods, you've learned from the toilet in your head and the marriage to the woman who ran off and tried. I think his first wife tried to run him over with the golf.
She beat him up with his old golf cart.
Yeah, his own golf. This is the thing. I'm thinking. Surely
to the head.
You know.
And the man's never won since.
Oh man.
After that, he never won. It was just downhill after that scandal. It was a proper mental thing for him. Like everything went downhill.
It was we have to see that another film about. I think because James L. Jones, the guy who did Darth Vader, very good voice, and Simba in Lion King.
Lion King. He was the father.
Yeah, and the fun. I think what was good about him is. Optically, his wife in Come to America was his wife in Lion King, which is very good, very nice. A very beautiful queen-looking sister. But I think she's Jamaican as well.
That's a great piece of facts. I didn't know that.
Yeah. It's because the good combo. I mean, and both those films, when you start thinking about in the mainstream, where was Africa really pushed forward? This is before the Black Panther kind of thing, right? In those times, you're looking at Lion King, which was Disney's biggest grossing film when it comes to traditional animation.
Yeah,
it made a lot of money, and then obviously Come to America, which was seen as like Eddie Murphy's kind of swan song. What it was, not swan song, but one of these big kind of box
cult classics.
And even because there's this term, I was watching a documentary about it. There's a term that they call black movie, and when they call a film a black movie, what they mean is it's a film for black people that is just for black people. At least that's the stereotype. But they said that, and they quantify it by like if everyone in the movie is black, it's a black movie, right? But with that film, because of Eddie Murphy and the way it was set and those kind of stuff, it wasn't seen as a black movie. It was seen as like a movie.
A movie.
Right? Yeah, it's a movie that had black people in it. And that's kind of where black people want to go when it comes to like mainstream success, whatever. But
that's a shame because I always saw it as maybe because I was young I wasn't at my age now when that first came out, but I felt like that was our movie. I felt like everyone within the culture knew that movie. Do you know what I mean?
You could say it still was, but from when it comes to like grossing wise, and also they judge it by the Asian markets because in Japan and I think it might be banned in China that time, I don't know, but in Japan it was very successful.
Okay,
you see, so You know, because
And also,
remember, like,
I get what you mean, because at that point they were saying that black people can't sell and all of that rubbish. So
yeah. You got to remember, even until today, I think they were showing when that slave movie, 12 Years as a Slave, or I can't remember what's called. But in Asia, they removed the black man and put the white dude in it. I forgot his name. He's a
wait.
Yeah, the mountain people.
Yeah, so what happened is I was watching a little sub documentary about when films go to Asia, and there was two incidents that people weren't best pleased with. One, in 12 Years as a Slave, the black man is like the main guy, and he was on the poster. But the poster that goes to China, they replaced him with what's that guy who was in the Fight Club, and he married that woman and left her for the other woman. Brad Pitt. There you go, Brad Pitt. I think Brad Pitt might have like 5 minutes in the film, but they gave him the poster in Asia. And then another incident was the Star Wars film had their first or second black hero-esque character. He wasn't really a hero, to be fair, but they removed him and made him smaller in the Chinese one. I think they completely removed him from the actual poster itself. Keeping around the poster has got like 10 people on it or 5 people on it, whatever. He was just removed. So yeah, a whole lot of stuff going on. But either way, Come to America. Yeah, Come to America made, so it was 36 million to make, and it made 288 million. And this is back in the 80s time, when films wasn't really making that kind of money. So anyway, great film though. If you haven't seen Come to America, guys, you should definitely watch it. Really good film. Number one, that is. Watch number one.
I was gonna say that. Are you talking about 1 or 2?
Yeah, no.
But I know that, Bobby Raven, you were going to talk about something that Sister Kushni may not like when it comes to Earl Jones. That he did represent, the black woman with him on screen, but off screen, Brother Raven has something to let you know, Sister Kushni.
Who's that? You talking about Eddie Murphy?
What about James Earl Jones?
Oh yeah, James Earl Jones. Sorry, to be honest, everyone we've mentioned is dancing. But James Earl Jones, amazing voice and this kind of stuff. But unfortunately, he was one of the first I saw in a documentary kind of
like that old school one when he was young and talking reckless.
Yeah, like he was so young in that, and he's just like, I think they're asking him, with black women going through so much, why have a white woman? And I think he tried to pin it back onto the black woman. And this man has an epic voice, and you can't undermine his skill as an actor. However, that was not a good look. And I think with him and Quincy Jones, these kind of individuals, very, very talented individuals, well, just like Jack Johnson, you find that they will, when they get divorced and half their money goes, they will keep marrying a European woman constantly.
Learn that lesson, bro.
But the thing is, we're not allowed to talk about the psychology or the motivation behind it, but we kind of should, in the sense of maybe we need to have a bigger talk amongst all the kind of platforms. Like I think because the Love is Love campaign is out there, but I'm more interested in the psychology, like where it's like we understand that this psychology happened when you would be killed for not being fair on women, whatever it might be, right? And then another one we have to study as well is that guy. We always mention him. Probably the first ever greatest entertainer of all time, easily before Michael Jackson.
Sydney.
Who?
You're on about Sydney Poitier?
No, it's before him. It's Rat Pack brother.
Davis
Jr.
Sammy Davis Jr. Yeah, sorry, but I should remember his name, but my mind's terrible. Yeah, so with him, the story of him was very interesting. Is he wanted to be with a Swedish woman. And then because the mob ran a lot of the movies, this Swedish woman was going to star in one of their movies as the main woman, and they knew that if she was married to a black man, the movie would flop. So they forced him to marry a black woman. So he couldn't marry this European woman. I want to say he
mafia. Is that the one where the mafia come and paid him a deal?
Yes, that one. I'm just trying, because I think what funny enough though, I think when I was researching him before, he actually died married to a black woman. I think that was interesting. Like,
was he still Jewish?
Well, he went to. I think unfortunately he went to be. He was a satanic person for a couple of years. Yeah.
Really? I didn't know that.
Yeah. He I think don't quote me on that. No, quote me on that. I know this. As in, he went to be. I think before he became Jewish, there were, that kind of like in those times the Crawley kind of people. The that this guy Crawley and this kind of
Oh, Alistair. Alistair.
That's cool.
Yeah.
There was you've never heard of any black person following that, but I don't know. This is what I'm saying when you have these black people isolated in their own kind of. If you look at, I'm looking at pictures of him now. He's always with the Rat Pack, and he's the the only black guy. Very entertaining guy. Very very talented. But I think Davis with his third wife. Yeah. So is that Atoli's Glor? Yeah. So he's his last wife, his third wife, was a black woman who when he died, she was still married to him. But I think they forced him to marry a black woman. He then left that black woman after the movie came out and married May Britt. Is it May Britt? I think she's Swedish. Let's check. Yep, Swedish woman. She married American entertainer Sammy Davis Jr. from 1960 to 1968, and then she left him and then married later. So I don't know.
I think that's a part of the problem as well, because you don't want it to become like this forbidden fruit that's undesirable. Do you know what I mean? With all of these people, because at that point in them times, it was a law.
Yeah.
Like almost like when like Eminem and them lot, that kind of rapper came out, the whole thing was to be controversial.
Yes.
You know what I mean? So when something's banned, it's going to make people want to buy it more. So they were always putting out any song with a swear word or something in there, so it would be a ban. It couldn't be played on the radio, and do you know all of that? And there's something to that as well around that kind of generation of black men as well. It's this forbidden. That, do you understand what I'm saying to you? This forbidden, this law of something you shouldn't do. This, and I think that's what's dangerous about it. I think that's what was very heightened at that time and very dangerous at that time, because it's almost like this forbidden, it goes back to this, we was talking about with the boxer as well. It's like he had everything really. Like anything he had, but you know what? Just because you've still put that one thing that I can't have, I'm gonna show you I'm gonna have 3 of them and make them my wife.
I think
you know what I mean? There's something to that where it's there's also, because we say that we set it up that they have some sort of status when they have them, it's also that whole kind of the middle finger up to you kind of thing, or that's how they spin it, or this almost this you think I've beaten everyone. People like me are slaves, and I've gone up and made people like you bleed publicly, and that wasn't enough. I've got riches that some of you lot don't even have that are supposed to be better than me, but you still telling me that I can't have your women. So you know what? I'm a marry me free. Like, so I always think this kind of forbidden fruit route is not the good route with our people. Do you know what I mean? Because it has to be on the sense of education, to like what you say in regards to education, understanding the reasoning behind it, why it's not, and not making like this elusive, this forbidden fruit kind of aspect that I think it was around that time, if that makes sense.
So I'm reading, and it says I think he was friends with Kennedy. I'm assuming JFK. That's right.
Yeah.
I think they said that Kennedy refused the marriage from him. I think because he married a white woman, so Kennedy didn't turn up. But Harry Belafonte did turn up, who himself was married to a white woman. I'm just reading stuff here. They mentioned stuff. He also said that when he was with this woman, he adopted 2 children. We're interested to see if they were European children or they had some kind of African ancestry at all. That'd be interesting. Because obviously you see with the Michael Jackson scenario where I'm telling you,
I think because of the time, it probably would have. I'd be surprised if they were like blonde-eyed and blue-eyed, only because of the time. But I mean,
would they have let him though? Would they have let him
exactly?
Do that? He married.
But at the same time, he married 3 exactly. So he.
No, I'm talking about. At this time, I'm talking about what's his name, Sammy Davis Jr. This time.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, so this would have been in the 60s.
Oh, okay, possibly then.
Because obviously, with a lot of the some of the women who run the pink pill space and stuff, one of their complaints, and I agree with them, I'm not disagreeing. One of their biggest complaints with black men, collectively, is they say that they saw more of a active to fight for the right to marry white than like fight for the right for economic empowerment, this kind of stuff, right? As in, like, it was more optically seen black men marching for the right to marry white women, and obviously within the Haile Belafonte and the Darth Vader and this gentleman here, it was something that was very pushed, like, this is something we want to do, and it was consistent. When the white women divorced them and took their money, they were again for the second time and then for the third time. It was something that seemed to be a pattern, and I think we can always talk about here and do this and that, but at a certain point we do need to do a proper case study and then have a campaign to try to, I guess, and that might sound very very crude, but reverse it. I guess you kind of want your most affluent men proudly marrying black women and starting some kind of network or some kind of like economic thing, really. But you can't really do that when so many who get to a certain point, I guess, marry into other communities. And I guess when we look now, it draws back to what we're talking about, this review of Benjamin Mendy case. Now, we do not know the background of the many 9 women who accused him of rape and who were allegedly lying. But what I do know when I did the research was he has a child allegedly with a European person who he was paying. They call it a romance, or what they call it, a love child. Sorry, that he was paying £400 a month, and she wasn't best pleased with this.
£400 a month.
Let me read. Yes, let me just make sure I get the quote right. So I read it down here. Hold on. It's I was getting just over £400 a month by Benjamin Mendy. He has a secret love child aged 3 years old. Says holiday romance, Yolanda Iglira. So I think he went to a country of a European country of some kind, and he met a woman, and they obviously had romance, this kind of thing. And she obviously, he's a rich player, so getting pregnant was definitely on the cards. But I think she wasn't best pleased that she was getting £400. And I think he was only given £400 was at that time. I think it was around about the time when he was accused by 9 women of this kind of stuff. So he couldn't afford to give her, because obviously I think they let him go, or his contract ended, and I think the French wasn't calling him back up. So this was the priority. Like, you've been accused of these cases, so this is your now thing. So anyway, So what I do know is I haven't seen the women, but I do know he has a child with a foreign love affair in a European land of some kind, and he pays £400 a month for.
I mean, this is what I was saying. This is why you can't feel sorry for him, bro, because it's the same old story, just a different face. I mean, nine, bro. I mean,
it's quite a lot, isn't it? It's quite a lot. No, but keep in mind that they could be lying and scheming. What people will say is
they
more
could
likely,
be, but if he didn't go there in the first place,
yeah, that's what they're saying. What they're saying is because there was intimacy there was a case. Funny enough, related to this, I was talking to a lady one day. I met her, I think, at a wedding, and she was telling me that what her job was. She worked in the football field, and her job was to scout women and bring women to football players, and like really sit down with them and talk to the women and let them know, like, here's what's going to happen, or here's what can't happen, or whatever. And she was like a mediator between women and the football players, and it was done to one, to minimize them being scammed out of money, but also to make sure that there was no case of misinterpretation or whatever it might be. I don't know, right? And that was her job. She was, I get paid a lot to do this.
So these women are posing as dates, or?
Well, the thing is, like, I guess it's like once you get into the real world and you see this kind of job, I guess I didn't want to, because of the social setting, I didn't want to ask, but I was like, where are you finding these women? And then she goes, well, it could be many kinds of women. And she goes, I was like, is money exchange? And it was getting to that kind of place where it seemed like some would have been fans, some would have been women who, what do they call them?
So women that would be their cup of tea, but would sign something like a non-disclosure, or would understand the setup, or wouldn't cause too much problems.
I think it was amalgamation of that plus what they call the women who pay to have a good time with men.
Escorts.
Yeah, these kinds of things. Right? So I think it was this kind of stuff, and I guaranteed that you know, at the end of the night, this might happen, this might not happen, and you know, they leave with this kind of stuff. So she was trying to really, she's brokering intimacy between football players, and it's usually like the younger ones who were like teenagers to 20, early 20s.
Wow. So it's
And
definitely not for a relationship then.
no, what she was saying is that with because these guys are so young and they've been in the football camps for so long, a lot of them have never been around a woman. So
Yeah.
by them making so much money so early, they're prone to being scammed or being in a situation where they could be blackmailed.
Yeah.
And I guess you're looking at this gentleman there. Now that this case come out, he could be potentially the same kind of thing. What she's trying to
Yeah.
avoid. But when they get older, they don't use her services anymore. They go to parties and do what they're doing. So yeah, I didn't really follow up with the questions. I didn't really take it. No, but I should have. It was very interesting.
Wow.
But this is what
That
she
is,
said.
yeah, because this is exactly what I was saying. Because when they're in those camps, that's it. There's no room for life experience. So that is so interesting because that would probably be, especially at that age group, that is so fascinating. So that's what they'd do to curb the scandal.
Yeah.
Rather than educate them. Do you know what I mean? Just like, here's your pool that you can pick from. Do you know what I mean? Just get on with it until you're old enough to just fend for yourself.
Yeah.
That's
But I mean,
fascinating.
but these guys make a lot of money very quickly. Much more, you know, much more than you can imagine in a week that someone would make in a year. So
Yeah. In a blink of an eye as well. Like,
yeah. So this is what the whole thing is. But you know, we definitely. There would be good because I was looking at a case study of Brazilian football players and Brazil in general, and just about how you know the thing is to not marry a black woman. Like it's a thing there. It really is a thing, and I think Pele will be the greatest case study because he's
yeah, I
unfortunately
think
passed
even was
away.
Chinese, wasn't it? She at the
His
end.
last was Chinese, but I think he got married 5 times. Not one was to a black woman. Yeah, it's interesting. But this was, I mean, there was even one who was married to 2 women at the same time, and they both were European. So it's this kind of stuff. You know, but with Brazil, you can understand because it was open culture to not be with black people. It's like you mustn't be with black people. Like you mustn't. It was the government promoted that, and it's still on today. It would be good to talk to some people just about like where you find these women. Are there black women around when these women are like? Are you around black women? You know, you come from a country where it's full of black women. Do you have any interest in this? You know, because there was that very interesting case which I guess was good. I guess was the Moroccan brother who had a black mother and a black Moroccan mother, I should say, and he's a football player playing the World Cup, and he was with some woman. She might have been North African, or she might have been. I think she was Spanish. Let me say she's Spanish, and they got divorced. So they broke up, and she wanted money from him, but she said, "I don't actually make any money. My black mother owns all my money." And he would do is he would give all his money to his black mum. So when a woman wanted to try to accuse him of something or whatever, she wouldn't be able to because his mother owns all his wealth. I forgot his name, but he's a Moroccan football player. I'm just is my mic still on?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, I thought my mic jumped for a second. Yeah, so you guys will know I'm a Moroccan player. His mum is
Yeah, I heard the story. I did
she's
hear
always
about the story.
very clever woman, clearly, if that's the case. But yeah, yeah. So it would be good to have this conversation just to see like are black women around when this is happening. We've always in the case study we realized that a good 90 something percent of black men who in the Premier League or at least who play for England do not marry black women. What I find interesting is such a high number that there is no review of this concept. Do you understand? Like, I think with black people we accept so many things, but for me it's like no, I think we should review that. Like, why is it that many rich black men politically, entertainment-wise, people with a power, whatever it is, some kind of connection, all seem to marry non-black women. Even like we were saying last week, a few weeks back, there's that brother who's run for president currently. A very wild donking kind of style hairstyle.
A brother that's running for president, did you just say, bro?
Black brother. He's famous for, is it Cornel West? Cornel West is his name. Let me just.
Oh yeah. Actually, yeah, I did. Oh yeah.
Cornel West. For those who want to Google Corner West,
Oh, is he still going for it then? 'Cause there's not been they've really quietened down on him. I've not really heard nothing much about it.
He's interesting cat. These pictures I've got of him ain't doing him no justice. I'm not good. They really make him look like he's screaming and shouting. This guy. But anyway,
Don't let the scary black man in office.
Yeah, oh my god, they're really very intelligent brother. But I think people weren't best pleased that, like many brothers from the civil rights days,
he had the audacity.
He was not married to a black woman. And I think when we look at a good case study to do is the black men in the civil rights days. I want to say some of the Black Panthers, but I could be wrong. So let's put up.
I doubt it.
And then obviously a lot of the Pan-African leaders from the 60s and 70s, well, a lot of them were married to women from the colonizing countries. And you would wonder, where did you find these women? Because they're not in the country anymore, surely not. But they'll find the colonizing women.
Oh, that's going to be a juicy one, that one, boy. That one might have to be series. The volume of...
Well, we do know in it, and I take all of the foundation, but remember, there's Pan-Africanist socialism.
Yes,
it's something where I kind of don't agree with. I more lean towards we all do lean towards the Garvey, what he brought, nationalism aspect. So, yeah.
No, I hear that. It's good to make those distinctions, and I think when you look at a lot of the civil rights movement. I'm not too sure where Corner West stands. There's the camp of those who want black people to have economic empowerment, and there's the camp who want to integrate with Europeans and share a network within some kind of framework, right? And I think that's why you will have kind of like the Malcolm X's and the Martin Luther Kings. Although some suspect he kind of changed certain tones towards before his murder, but you get that, and that's why I think with me, I always ask, are you trying to have like a tag teamwork kind of economic plan, or is it you want black people to show self-determination and to fix many challenges that goes in? That's very important, and unfortunately, there are many black intellectuals who they got their fist up and they're doing, and all power to them, and we wish them well in many endeavors and stuff. But their whole thing is to heavily integrate. And once again, what I say might sound very crude and crash for them, but a lot of it is access to white women, you see, and this is just what it is. And I'm not saying that the brothers are talking about that's their case, but when they're doing that and they're married to a European woman, a white woman, then it kind of
defeats the purpose.
It kind of does, because I know that when you come to the show, you're going to think, you guys, do you ever give it a break about black men loving black women? And unfortunately, there was a time 10, 15 years ago, let's say 15 years ago, where when I was trying to do black empowerment stuff, it was, we're all in this together, like love has no color. There was, the whole, you love everyone start kit, whatever. And then you start doing research, you realize that doesn't work that way. It just doesn't work that way. It doesn't. So that's why my whole thing was to try to brand black love in a positive way, where people couldn't demonize it. Well, it's very hard to do because people hate black people. But it is, from my research, I'm saying today, for those who are listening for the first time today, the most important thing we can deal with is black love and black economics. You see,
bro. I know I came in late, but did you touch on the Carlee Russell?
We did, and we can go there now. We still have some time left. We were talking about because it's early days. So for those that don't know, the second part was Carlee Russell, who allegedly, I think has been proven now, she lied about being kidnapped. She said she saw a child, maybe a black child, at the side of the road. She went to see if the child was okay, and she was kidnapped by a ginger man with a bald head, and then she ran away 3 days later, and then they thought that the story didn't add up, and then because she hasn't been charged yet. But we were comparing it to the Jesse Smollett case, the so-called gay two-pack. And I think the area we're tackling was how this can be very damaging to black people, because black women already are not necessarily trusted for their words and their claims. And for you to be a black woman and do this, you might potentially make it much more challenging for black women to be trusted, from an optical standpoint. So that's where we got before we jump back to Black men love black women.
Okay, yeah. I mean, yeah.
Any thoughts on that, sister? Anything? Do you know? Are
Yeah.
you?
I just think that, I have a lot of thoughts on this because, I think I heard of this really early on when there was no facts came out.
Okay.
And I think a lot of people just imagined that she was on a dirt road and there was a kid. And I think when the CCT come out of how busy she was, literally on a junction, it looks like a flyover kind of road, like motorway, and how busy it was and things. It was just like, oh, because I think what standed out to me was the fact that how much traffic this got. And I was just reasoning with some things with my mind. I was speaking to some people about it as well, and I do think that unfortunately, I just think what I will say is like Madeleine McCann. Madeleine McCann, the one who
The European child that we missing.
Portugal. Yeah, right. And there's been when the Madeleine McCann case happened, for example, after that, their own people didn't say, well, you see, white women, you can't trust them, or white people, you can't trust them when they go away, and da 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 da. Or the amount of like what we've just seen now with Benjamin, their people are not now saying, well, you see, that's the problem with our white women. They're always accusing of sleeping with these blokes and then accusing them of doing kissing tails and stuff like that. And it's just like, I'm just realizing that I'm just not with the whole narrative instantly. I get it. As a people, we're disgusted with what happened, but at the same time, it's like the narrative from some black people would be like, well, you see, this is us as black people, whereas other communities hold themselves to the stand and say, we see what that individual did, what the McCanns did, or what that woman did. That's disgusting because we've got high morals. That's not of us, so we can put that down. You know what I mean? Whereas our narrative is like, oh, here we go again. This is what we're like. Do you know? Not us, but what I'm hearing. And I think that is damaging as well. Like even just the way I feel like we handle in-house things publicly is a problem, and when you look at the way that it's obvious now that the police knew before the police knew while they were allowing the public to make their conclusions and get like passionate about it, because people were going out doing searches, holding their own searches. They employed helicopters. They wanted the whole world to see that we are going to be searching for this black woman. We are doing it the right way this time. Even the language was so, I couldn't believe how good the language was. It was almost like, we're not going to make any, we're not going to assume anything. We just want to worry about the welfare. Bro, if you close your eyes and squint, you would have thought it was a white woman the way they were acting. But this whole time, I'm just thinking that they did this knowing at some point, well, very soon into when they got this case, that it was a hoax. They just wanted it to push and push and get mainstream and get people's emotion into it, get strangers to get up and start searching for it, get people into it, get people attached to this story just to make us look like an idiot. And that's one thing. But then what do we go and do on top is like...
The Carlee Russell case has caught the attention of the nation
all the
for the last week. It was a week ago. She vanished on I-459. Carlee,
it's just playing.
She stopped on the side of the road.
So
new technology.
She would escape.
Yeah, it's still wait. What this is? Hold on.
Carlee says she ran through
so
the
what
woods
I
until
wanted
she
to
made
show was
home that was late Saturday night.
Police
on
do
this
not believe the child was on the side of the road at any point. Carlee's call was the only report they received.
But it was more so towards the end where they had some black guy. He might be a community leader kind of guy. And he was just talking about I think black women be trusted.
They won't be believed. He says right now Carlee needs an attorney to advise.
Oh, let's go back.
It may actually decrease the number of actual reports of things because people are already afraid that they won't be believed.
He says right now Carlee needs an attorney to advise her.
Yours was not safe. Beyond angry, super livid, that would be me.
Guster says he worried.
Yeah, so he somewhere he mentioned the whole people not be believed and this kind of stuff. But yeah, no,
And then
we're
it's
still early
bad, isn't
days.
it? Because like, let's remember, like, especially like Atlanta and America in general, they've got high femicide for black women, and they've got a serious problem with black women going missing. Like, that's not an over exaggeration. They've admitted it in white stream media. Like, there are black women coming up missing a lot. So it's all just, to me, just, it's definitely a ploy. Like, if I look at it emotionless and look at it like the politics and stuff like that, it's definitely just another thing to put at us and confuse us and disable us and things like that. And they've definitely like gone callous about it because they've used a situation that's really real. Do you know what I mean? Like, there's really real black women getting trafficked and no one cares. And the one time you show to care, it was a hoax. Do you know what I mean? Like, they knew, like, I'm hearing that they traced the line. She was making phone calls all throughout.
Yeah. They did their research on Google, the things she was Googling, and all this kind of stuff. Yeah. I mean, we'll carry on following this case. We'll have to give updates. We're also talking about black women who do come forward with who report crimes, and and making sure that, I think we covered a few weeks back, and we're still covering. We're waiting for certain verdicts of certain kind of cases before we cover it properly. But yeah, no, I hear all that. So, family, we actually are at the 2 hour mark, so we will be going. But we are joined by Brother Cal and Sister Kush. So, family, do you have any final words you'd like to push before you guys go? I hope this is still working. My machine is actually going crazy. Let me shut this stuff down. I don't know if you guys can still hear me, but my machine is just like the fan's going mad. So that means it wants to turn down. It wants to. So I hope has it ended the stream? Has it ended the stream? No, it's still ticking. Can you guys still hear me? If not, we will call it a day. But I'm trying to see if my microphone's even responding. No, maybe not. So, family, I'm gonna end the show. We might have some technical difficulty, sadly, but if not, to everyone, Black Betterment, and we might just have to end the show there.
Black Betterment. Sorry.
Oh, there you go. Oh, it's working. There you go. It's good. New technology.
Yeah. It's not too bad, this, though.
No, it's good. It's good. I just get used to it. It's nice and smooth, and you could do much more with it.
Really?
Yeah. Well, can you do more with it?
It looks like there's little bits you can do to it, though. But it's definitely seamless. It does look smooth.
Yeah, it's better the user interface.
Yeah.
I think it's got like you turn things on and off, and you can't. I don't think you can see it, but you guys have like a switch on you. I can turn you on and off, and that's why when you came in, I have to turn you on before you can speak, and then turn it off before you can't. That kind of stuff.
The only thing is, it clearly doesn't give you an alert like the other one does when we're in a waiting room, though.
No, the things I can see you. I can actually see you. The only thing is, I just have to remember that the blue switch is off because it's there, but there's a switch that turns blue.
Oh, okay.
I've got to turn it on. But yeah, it's decent. It's decent. As time goes by, we'll probably like redecorate up and pay for the extension and have all these other kind of bells and whistles, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But until then, also guys, if there's anything you want us to cover next week, let us know. We give thanks to Brother Dominic for helping us out in the comment section. We give thanks to Empress Kush and Brother Kel for contributing. That's very important. If you guys want to join,
I've got something, please. It is a bit something that I like, so I don't know if it'll be something that everyone would want to talk about. But I don't know if you heard about it would help if I knew his name, Travis Scott, but he recently got kicked out of Egypt, and this is not about him because I'm not really a fan of him. I think he's one of the guys that's with one of the Kardashians, bro. Just to let you know, because I know they're all similar. I think he's the one that's with Kylie. But he's the third person now since I've been watching where Egypt are taking direct shots at black people, and I just think it's getting under the radar. He's been banned from coming.
Did he make a statement about a black king or something?
So you already know where I'm going for this. So
I know they're doing that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly, and I don't think that what I'm seeing is just reports. Oh, this happened. Egypt rejected this. Okay. Well, Egypt had a problem with Cleopatra being black. Okay. Now Travis Scott has been blocked. Like, what's like? There's a pattern here.
Yeah, you're right. No, you are right. I'm glad you said that. And I'm noticing. I came across a page that I might cover called something like Kemetic Queen. And now these kind of words were very dominated by the Afro-centered community. But there's a Arab Egyptian woman who's her page is just like 2 months old or 3 months old, and I think she reads out comments from black people to her on her page about, oh, you're not a true Arab, or you're not a true black, or Kemetic, or whatever it might be. But I would also say, black people, be very careful how you interact and talk to non-black people, especially Arabs and this kind of stuff, because they will use these like, what you want to do is, if you want to prove, there's plenty of evidence to demonstrate that historically Kemetic Kushites or Nubian or black or whatever, right? And also ask them questions, because what you tend to find is, before I go, what we tend to find is, regardless of what they're saying, it's they're happy with the Egyptians being played by Europeans. It's when you're played by Africans or black people, they're not best pleased, despite what they say. And when you ask questions, that seems to come out.
Exactly. Bless up Buddha in the chat, by the way.
Yeah. Oh, there you go. But yeah, big up, brother. Okay, so guys, we're gonna leave now.
Then, if you're gonna allow us that time to talk about it next week, can you play that, please? Because that'd be because I'm trying to listen. I can only imagine what she does. So she just literally plays a video of her reading.
Oh yeah, I'll get her stuff.
Yeah.
She's relatively she's an Arab looking Egyptian, or Egyptian Arab. And there was another guy they brought on, what's his name? The UK guy who caused controversial. He's always got black sisters on there talking certain things. Anyways, the UK guy who's controversial, he got his own show, and he invited an Arab man on there and a homosexual black man to discuss Egypt. And the homosexual black man didn't seem to necessarily know too much about history, while this Arab man was not best pleased, and he was saying like, oh, you've got a woman who's half Nigerian, half German, playing an Egyptian. It's okay when she plays a fantasy creature like the mermaid, whatever. But this is real life and this kind of stuff.
Wow.
Right? So,
where is that?
What I'll do is, maybe we'll do it next week. I'll collate all this stuff next week, whatever, and we'll do it. We're joined by Buddha, but Buddha, we're actually shutting the show down, so you're gonna have to join next week, brother. I'm sorry about that, but it was always good to have you on. But until then, guys, we'll catch you guys next week. But we'll make the Kemet kick out or whatever show. We'll talk about black people kicked out Kemet. Just before I go, I do know a couple of Nubian people who were like living in England, and they would go to Egypt, and they were never best pleased, like the racism they saw there towards the Nubians. And as you know, the Nubians live high up on the Nile, closer towards historically where the empires were and stuff. But we'll cover all that next time. Until then, guys, Black Betterment, Black Betterment.